The vault holds $1.5 billion. It's protected by military-grade encryption, multi-signature security requiring 3 separate executives to authorize any transfer, cold storage physically disconnected from the internet, armed guards patrolling server facilities in Switzerland, and a security team that costs $50 million annually. Every expert agrees it's mathematically impossible to rob. The probability of breaking the encryption is lower than guessing a specific atom in the universe. To steal from Bybit, you'd need to compromise multiple high-level executives simultaneously, bypass biometric systems, defeat hardware security modules, and somehow move $1 billion in cryptocurrency without anyone noticing. It would take an army. It would take months of preparation. It would require resources that only nation-states possess. Or, and this is what actually happened, you could just call Dave. Dave works at Safe Wallet, a third-party company that helps Bybit manage some technical infrastructure. Dave isn't a security expert or a high-level executive. He's a developer who makes $120,000 a year and checks his email like everyone else. On February 21, 2025, at exactly 12:47 p.m., Dave clicks on a software update that looks completely legitimate. 12 seconds later, $1.5 billion starts draining from Bybit's supposedly impenetrable vault. The security systems see nothing wrong. The executives don't get alerts. The armed guards continue their patrols. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, the money is already gone, laundered through a maze of blockchain addresses that will take months to untangle. Dave never knew he'd been compromised. The hacker never touched Bybit's security. And those 12 seconds just became the most profitable moment in human history. This is the Invisible Heist, the story of how you don't rob the bank. You hack the janitor. Stay with us as we dive deeper. The fortress that couldn't be breached. Bybit isn't some amateur crypto startup. By 2025, they'd grown into one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, managing billions in assets. They knew they were targets, and their security reflected it. Cold storage kept funds offline, physically disconnected from the internet. Multi-signature systems required multiple authorized parties to approve significant transfers. Hardware security modules protected cryptographic keys. Intrusion detection systems monitored for anomalies. Regular external security audits. Physical security matched the digital defenses. Armed guards, biometric access controls, surveillance cameras, dozens of security professionals from top financial institutions. Simulated attacks, immediate patching, comprehensive incident response plans. But there was a weak link: third-party service providers. Bybit relied on specialized companies for wallet management, blockchain integrations, and security tools. One provider was Safe Wallet, supplying multi-signature wallet infrastructure. Safe Wallet had solid industry reputation, and Bybit trusted them. But that trust created a vulnerability. Compromise Safe Wallet, and you could potentially access systems interacting with Bybit's infrastructure. The hacker understood this perfectly. Instead of attacking the fortress directly, he would infiltrate the supplier. The hacker's approach was methodical. Rather than attacking Bybit directly, he identified Safe Wallet as a potential entry point. He researched the company, studied their personnel, and identified developers with access to critical systems. The attack vector was devastatingly simple: a malicious software update disguised as a legitimate tool. The hacker crafted malware designed to evade detection, bundled inside what appeared to be a routine update for a development tool commonly used by Safe Wallet's engineering team. The delivery mechanism could have been a spear phishing email, a compromised software repository, or a watering hole attack targeting websites the developers visited. One developer installed what he believed was a legitimate update. No dramatic warning, no obvious red flag. The software looked authentic, possibly digitally signed with valid credentials. Once installed, the malware operated silently, establishing persistence and waiting to activate. The malware monitored the developer's activities, learning how he interacted with SafeWallet systems. It harvested credentials, captured authentication tokens, and mapped access paths to systems controlling cryptocurrency wallets. The hacker was building a complete picture, identifying exactly where assets were stored and how to access them. When the moment came, the attack was executed with surgical precision. Using the compromised access, the hacker initiated transactions from Bybit's hot wallets. The funds moved through a complex network of intermediate addresses designed to obscure the trail. Cryptocurrency mixers broke the connection between source and destination. The money was split into smaller chunks, moved through different blockchains, and laundered through decentralized exchanges requiring no identity verification. The entire operation took 12 seconds to initiate. By the time Bybit's monitoring systems flagged the unusual activity, over $1.5 billion had already left their control. The largest cryptocurrency heist in history had just occurred, and the perpetrator had vanished into the digital darkness. Bybit's security team activated incident response protocols, shutting down affected systems, analyzing transaction logs, and attempting to trace the stolen funds. They contacted blockchain forensics firms, notified law enforcement agencies in multiple jurisdictions, and alerted other exchanges to watch for and potentially freeze incoming funds from compromised addresses. But tracking cryptocurrency across blockchain networks is extraordinarily difficult when the thief knows what they're doing. The hacker had clearly planned the laundering process in advance. Funds were split and routed through hundreds of intermediate addresses. Mixers intentionally obscured connections between inputs and outputs. Decentralized exchanges allowed trading without identity verification. Some funds were converted to privacy coins like Monero, which use cryptographic techniques to hide transaction details. Once cryptocurrency enters privacy coin networks, tracking becomes nearly impossible. Other funds move to exchanges in jurisdictions with weak regulatory oversight or limited international cooperation. The hacker was systematically erasing their trail. Bybit faced immediate fallout. The loss represented a significant portion of their assets. They assured users that customer funds would be made whole, but confidence was shaken. The revelation that the breach occurred through a third-party provider highlighted a systemic vulnerability in the cryptocurrency industry. SafeWallet's reputation was destroyed overnight. The company faced investigations, lawsuits, and potential bankruptcy. The compromised developer became subject to intense scrutiny, though there's no evidence he was complicit. He was a victim of social engineering, but his mistake had catastrophic consequences. The broader crypto industry reacted with alarm. If Bybit could be compromised through a third-party provider, every exchange was potentially vulnerable. Companies began reviewing vendor relationships and implementing additional security requirements for partners. Supply chain security moved from theoretical concern to immediate priority. Blockchain analytics firms published detailed analyses tracking the cryptocurrency as it flowed through various addresses and protocols. Some funds were frozen by exchanges that identified and blocked the addresses, but the majority remained in motion, laundered through increasingly sophisticated methods. Law enforcement coordinated internationally, but without significant breakthroughs, prosecution seemed unlikely. The hacker had left minimal digital footprints and operated through anonymizing technologies. The Bybit heist redefined what's possible in cybercrime. $1.5 billion stolen in 12 seconds through a compromised third-party developer. No amount of armed guards or sophisticated security systems mattered when the attack came from a trusted partner. The hacker didn't need to breach the fortress. He just needed to steal the janitor's keys. The stolen cryptocurrency continues its journey through blockchain networks, laundered and dispersed across countless addresses. Some may eventually be recovered, but the majority is likely lost forever. The developer who clicked that malicious update lives with the knowledge that his mistake enabled the largest heist in history. And somewhere, a hacker sits on a fortune worth more than the GDP of some countries, accumulated in the time it takes to read this sentence. The invisible heist proved that in the digital age, the biggest thefts don't require guns or getaway cars, just patience, planning, and understanding that every fortress has a weakness. What do you think? Can cryptocurrency exchanges ever truly be secure? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to like, subscribe, and click on the next video on your screen.